Okay, so today we're going to look at Matplotlib and some other charting libraries. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at a line chart. So our line chart is going to be the simplest thing that we can have. So we're going to say import and then Matplotlib, and then we're going to do a sub part of this. So that's going to be called pyplot, and then we're just going to import that as PLT. So instead of having to call all of this each time, we're just going to have to call PLT. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to set up two lists, so X and Y, and the lists, obviously you can substitute them for something else, so you can have maybe a CSV file or something like that that it could be referencing, and we'll show you how to do that at the end. And then we're going to reference X against Y, so maybe Y is going to be like 10, 20, 25, 30, and 40. So that's what we're going to plot. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to say plt dot plot, because we want to plot something, and then we're going to say what we want to plot, so X and Y, and then we're going to have a marker, and that's going to be equal to 0, and then we're going to say that the line style is going to be equal to a dash, and then we'll change the color as well. Remember that it's the American version of color, and we're just going to say that it's going to be B for black. Okay, so that's going to be all of the context of what the plot is going to be like. We want to put a title on it, so plt.title. Now remember that plt.title will be used for a lot of different types of plots, so the title function. So we're just going to have this be line chart, and then we are going to close it, and then we might want to put a label on one of the axes, so plt.x label, and that's just going to be x-axis. Maybe we might put a dash in between, and close the brackets, and then we might just copy the same thing for the y, and we'll just change that to be y. And then we might also want to put some grid in behind it, so we might say plt.grid, and we're going to put true. And then we might want to actually save it as an image, so we might say plt dot save fig, and then what do we want to call it? We want to call it like line chart, maybe underscore like that, dot png, and then we're going to close our bracket. And the other thing that we might want to do is plt.show. Now plt.show, it has arguments at the end of it, but I'm going to leave them blank. So this is just going to show me the thing once it runs. So if I run this, the chart should pop up for me, charting against it. Oh, so there's some issue here. Oh yeah, so I put 0 instead of O, and if I just run this now, we should get our line chart popping up here. So that's going to give me my line chart, and I can save that figure if I would like to, or whatever I'd like to do. So I'm going to show you some more charts as we go through. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to look at is going to be a pie chart that's going to be in Matplotlib as well. So we're going to start off again with import matplotlib.pyplot as plt. So that's just going to be my short version of that. I'm going to set up two labels. The first one is going to be equal to a list. So we're going to say A, B, C, and D. Okay, and then we're also going to have sizes, and that's going to be equal to square bracket 20, 30, 25, 25. Okay, now remembering that these could reference a CSV file, and I'll show you that at the end. I have a few things that are sizes and stuff like that of my pie chart that I want to have. So plt.py is going to be the code for that. I want to use my sizes up here, and I want to use the labels, so the labels up here, and then these are just some settings for the config of what it's going to look like. Okay, I have my plt.title as I had with my previous one, so I'm just going to call this pie chart. Okay, and you'll notice that I'm using the double quotes here. It doesn't make any difference if it's double or single quotes that you use. plt dot save fig, so I want to save the figure, and what am I going to save it as? So I want to call it a pie chart dot png, and then I'll close my bracket. And then the last thing, similar to the last one, is we've plt.show, because that's going to show me what my figure looks like. Okay, so if I run this, it should pop up for me. So it's popped up in my other screen. So this is what we're going to look at. So this is showing my pie chart with A, B, C, and D, and I can click save to save the figure. So simple as that. Okay. Okay, so similar to the last one, we're now going to look at how to create a bar chart. So again, we have import matplotlib.pyplot as PLT, so just the shorthand for writing this big long thing here. I have categories and I have values, and what we're going to do is we're going to set up the actual bar chart. So plt.bar is going to be calling on us to create a bar chart. What do we want to have as the values? So we're going to put in categories, which I have above there. We're going to also show values. That's going to be the two axes, and then the color, remember it's American, so we're going to say maybe sky blue, and then we're going to close these brackets, and then we're going to put a title on it, so plt.title, and we can give that bar chart. And then we are going to say what do we want to put on the x-axis, so plt.x-axis, or sorry, plt label, and then that is going to be categories, and then the y-axis is going to be copy, so the y-axis there, and this is going to be values, and then the last thing that we want to do is plt.show, and empty argument there, and if we run this, we should get a bar chart popping out beside us, which is this one. Okay, again, we can save it or do whatever we need to again. Okay, so keeping the format similar to previously, we are going to look at now doing a scatter plot. So we're importing matplotlib.pyplot as PLT, so shorthand for this big long bit. I have my data here, which is just going to be my x and y values, and then to actually plot it, we're going to have plt.scatter is going to be the code for this. What do we want to plot? So we want to plot the x list, which is going to be up here, and then we also want to plot the y list that's going to be there. The color that we want is going to be red, maybe, and then we also want to have our marker, and that is going to be equal to O. Okay, and then we'll close our bracket. Now plt.title, we're going to put a title on this, so we're going to have scatter plot. Okay, and I forgot to put quotes. And then we want to put some labels, so plt.xlabel, and we're going to put x-axis on that, and then we might as well just copy that and put in our y value and our x-axis, and then similar to all of the rest of them, we have plt.show, which is going to show us our chart. So when we run that, we should get our scatter plot, which looks something similar to this. Okay, so next up we might want to have two data sets that are displayed on the same plot. So we have matplotlib.pyplot and that's imported as PLT. As we've done with each other one, we have our values of our x, and then we've got two different data sets here that we're going to plot against each other. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to say plt.plot, and then we have to say what we want to plot. So we're going to plot the x, and then we're going to say y1 because that's going to be the value that we're going to plot first, and then we might put our label, and we're going to say that that's going to be data 1 maybe, and then what we're going to do is we might put it in a color, so we might say that this is blue, and then we're going to say what marker that we want. So this is going to be O, like that, and then we'll close that bracket. Okay, then we might want to copy this again, and I'm going to try and plot the second thing here. So we're going to have y2, so the second data set that's going to be up here. The label here is going to change to data set or data 2. I'm going to change this to green maybe instead of blue, and then the line style I'm going to change on this one as well. So I'm just going to put in line style so that we can recognize which one is which, and I'm going to put that to be double dash, and then we have comma, and the marker for this is going to be S. Okay, then what we might want to do is we might set up our chart. So we're going to have plt.title, and this is going to be two data sets in one chart. Okay, then we have plt.x-axis, or sorry, x label, and this is going to be x-axis, and then we're going to have the same thing for the y, except instead of there it's going to be y, and this is meant maybe values, and then we're going to maybe have a legend as well, so plt.legend, and then lastly plt.show. That's going to show us the chart. Don't forget you have to have those brackets after that. So if you run that, you should see that it should chart for you two charts there like that. Okay, so two different data sets plotted like this. So that's how you do it in one chart. Okay, so the last part of this in Matplotlib is we're going to look at how you would read a CSV file in and then chart it. So the first thing that I'm going to show you is I have this CSV file which just has category value 1 and value 2, and it's just saved here in a simple text file. So I'm going to close that, and then this is the folder structure that I have. So I have my data.csv, which is here, and then I have my Thonny file which I'm going to be working on saved here. They're both in the same folder, and in a second I'm going to show you what happens when you actually put it into a subfolder. So I'll just put that to the side. So the first thing that we're going to look at is we're going to use pandas. So pandas is a library that we can manipulate data with. So I'm just going to say pandas, and I'm going to bring that in as PD. So similar to the way that we used Matplotlib before, we're just going to shorthand the pandas. So I'm just going to do matplotlib.pyplot, and we're going to bring that in as PLT. Then what I want to do is I want to set up a data frame. Now it doesn't matter what a data frame is, it's just going to be a variable. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that I want it to read the CSV. Okay, so underscore CSV, and then where is the CSV? So it's just going to be data.csv. Now I don't have to specify where it is because it's in the same folder as this Python file is. So that's why I don't have to specify where it is, but in a second I'll show you that I will have to. So then we're going to do a bar chart. So I'm going to say plt.bar, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the data frame, so the thing that we just created, and I'm going to, inside in that, I want to get the category. So that's going to be the title of one of the columns that's inside there, and I'm going to use that, and then I'm also going to use the df, and I'm going to use the value one, and that's just going to be one of the values of the columns. Okay, and then the color that I might want will be sky blue. Remember, you can look up different colors and different things like that to use on the documentation with Matplotlib. So I'm just going to do plt.title now, and we're going to put that this is going to be bar chart from CSV, and then plt.xlabel, and this is going to be called category. And then the same thing as this again. This one is going to be value. Okay, and that's going to be my Y label. Give that a C. And then this one under here, we're going to have plt.show, and this is going to show then the actual chart once we run it. So if I run it there, so now that's imported the chart from the CSV, so we get something like this.